And we're live. We were getting better at this.
Yeah, that was very good timing.
Very good, very good. So, cheers. It's Friday.
Prost.
1 hour late. Oh,
it is.
Yeah, very good choice. Good choice of beer. And cheers to everybody watching. There's already quite a few people watching. Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, you can watch it on Izzi's Twitter. You can watch us on my Facebook, on Wright's LinkedIn, on Tinder. Really? What?
No, that was always your joke.
No, okay, I got it. No, actually, I was like, I wanted to say Twitter, and I said Tinder, and now it became the joke.
Oh, that's why you kept saying Tinder.
Yeah.
The Freudian slip.
The Freudian slip. Oh, the Freudian slip.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I love it. Again, what learned? Wieder was gelernt. Again, what learned. Lots of people watching. Tune in as well. Please do so. Join us wherever you want to watch us, wherever you can watch us, and leave a little comment. Let us know where you're watching from. That's pretty nice for us. Since we're just sitting at home, talking into a camera. It's always nice, to see someone is listening. Besides Izzi.
Aside from each other.
Yeah. So, how are you doing? To 302 of a Kind, we would like to cordially and temporarily redirect you from work to
the weekend.
That's it. And we got an exciting hour for you guys because we want to recap SMX Advanced, which coincidentally also took part in parts in Munich. And so it's SMX Advanced Europe, and it actually took place in, I think, 8 or 9 offices around Europe. So there was the White Campus, there was the Peak Ace office in Berlin, we had the One Plex in Wrocław with Bartosz and our friends there. We had Zurich. Actually, Martin Split was tuning in from Zurich, from the Blue Class office.
Oh, nice.
We had somebody from Göteborg. We had London. Which, they had this. They could actually not have anybody over there. So the concept was to actually have sort of like this hybrid event where you could watch online, or also, since there's no central location, join in any of those hubs and basically have that networking and sort of live experience. This was also where the Rightplex was. We had a couple of people over, but I guess the idea was nice, but it really didn't work out, I think, for most of the offices due to several different COVID restrictions throughout Europe.
Yeah.
But I really liked the idea. And for
I
us,
did, yeah.
And for us, it really felt sort of like a private concert. It was really sort of felt like it. Although I got to say, we had some difficulties, or like the event itself had a little bit of difficulties because we were actually not broadcasting the whole stream, and also your slides. For example, when you were presenting, so people actually had to watch the stream, and obviously this led to very interesting constellations. For example, when you were presenting, people had to still, sit there in front of you watching into their screen to actually see your slides, and there was actually a little bit of a time delay. So we heard you talk, and then you would actually see the slides a little bit later. And the even more bizarre situation was when Christopher Gutknecht, who was very well versed in the PPC side of things, but I wanted to watch the SEO track, so he was actually presenting in our office for PPC, and I was watching the SEO stream, right? So it was a little bit weird.
It was strange. It was okay. It was like one of these silent discos. Do you know what they are? Where like there's like
there was this
people in a club.
Yeah,
like with the headphones on, just like listening and laughing to the streams, and like I agree. But then like someone's either giving a talk in front of us in person or in another part of Europe. So very surreal, but I really enjoyed it. It was a much more different experience than just sitting here in your office, especially for me as well. Like giving a talk, it was nicer to do it in person, I thought.
I'm really interested how this was for you as a speaker, because I'm very glad I wasn't a speaker. I just had to say some opening words. But you actually knocked it out of the park with your new presentation.
Thank you. Awesome.
Like, I really loved that presentation. But how was that for you? I mean, obviously, it's great to finally be in front of people again, but you had a couple of people in front of you, but everybody was watching into a computer, and with the time delay, it's hard to make jokes, which rely on a meme, an image, and actually saying something to it. So how was your experience actually speaking, doing your talk?
So it was surreal, but it was really strange because, like you said, people were sort of dotted around the room. We were in the gym at the right campus, and people are sort of like on their laptops, which makes you feel a bit sad. You're like, am I so boring that you're doing work? But then you remember, like, no, they're still watching you, and this like kind of delayed laughter. But I was trying my best to sort of like rally the audience when I could, like leave a comment, say hello, like laugh at my jokes, please. Because that's what I miss the most about giving live talks, is that you can hear the sort of engagement from the audience. And like the sort of 3 laughs from the audience meant the world to me, because that's just so much better than like speaking into this microphone and hearing nothing from the audience. So it was definitely better than like sitting at my desk, but I still miss like a full auditorium, or not even a full auditorium, just like a room, a room of people. I love that. Yeah. But it was good.
I can totally imagine how weird it is. And again, you couldn't just watch you, because you wouldn't see the slides. So everybody had really to basically stare into the computer to actually see your slides. And what you just said, this is exactly what speakers live off, right? The audience reaction, seeing people smile at you, laughing at your jokes. This is exactly what you came for. And I really love this, actually, because you were actually, calling out those people and saying, hey, say something, let me know that you're there. And there's actually lots of people who are then actually saying, hey, Izzi, you're doing great. It's awesome to watch you, that kind of stuff. And nobody else actually did this, or at least not that I saw. And so you had really the most audience participation of any of those talks, because you really try to engage those people. So yeah, definitely, it was super weird, but again, you did a fantastic job. Again,
Thank you.
I saw it a little bit before. I was really impressed. And I mean, like, you got such a strong presentation game. I can because just before this, actually, we have this show now 1 hour later, because I was actually teaching a university course for the whole day, and I was doing it with your slides again. I have your
cool.
Yeah, because this time they were like very early stage, very at the beginning. So we agreed to do, normally I would do like a lot of praxis, also like hands-on
practical
SEO kind of things, right? And have like a very little theoretical part. And today it was like only theoretical, thanks to your awesome slides that I can just basically present. So I went through, I think, 550 slides of yours today for this. They were like, and the awesome Anna, who's my partner for that course, and our valued colleague Anna, will actually teach them tomorrow, and she will actually do the practical stuff. She will actually do the SEO side, go with them into Write, and cool. Basically, use this what they learned today. So yay, Anna, cool, she's doing that. And thank you again for those awesome slides, because without you, I wouldn't have the single slide, right?
I was there in spirit. All good. You must be exhausted, or how are you feeling?
I am super exhausted. As you know how it is, right? Like teaching university courses, always like throughout the whole day, and you just talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. And it's even worse doing these online. I mean, this is actually a great university, very engaged students, a lot of questions. This is like really what you live off, also being a lecturer there, that you actually have the audience participation, people like really showing genuine interest in what you're telling them, which is nice. This is not always the case, I got to say, especially when you're like used to like a conference, right? So you're at a conference at SEOCom, you have like 1,500 people, hanging on your lips. And then you go to university and people will sit there with their computers and like, is anybody listening? Is this interesting to someone? This is really valuable knowledge. You should really listen. But this is just like a course they got to do to get like 2 credits, because it's supposedly very easy, because I'm such a nice guy, which I'm not, by the way. So points don't come easy, my courses. No, but this is like very often the case, as I find. So it's always a little bit tough for the university. But Uni Seeburg is actually an Austrian university close to Salzburg. It's a very, very engaged people, because they come out of work So they're not like strictly students. They also work in parallel. So they're a
Oh,
little bit more engaged because they want something to gain for their company. And this is
that's
really,
great.
really great again.
Nice.
Definitely. And but still, it's so hard doing like a whole day university course just talking into the computer, right? And I had this one instance where I was like asking like a really basic question, and it was like still early in the morning, and nobody was responding. And I'm like, anyone? Nothing. But by the way, you guys still hear me, right? And then it was like microphone on. Yeah, all right. Microphone on. Okay,
What?
then let me go further, right? So it's very, very, very hard, and obviously having this. So I wouldn't want to miss this show here on our Friday afternoon to close off the week.
Thanks for joining.
We have a lot of talked about. There's a lot of great content which was presented at SMX Advanced, and this was really like truly advanced content, great content. So we really want to give you a little bit of a heads up what has happened there. Because there was some really, really insightful stuff being shared. I just wouldn't want to miss the opportunity to do this together with you. Especially, again, also next week, you're going to be on vacation, a very much deserved vacation,
Thank you.
if I might
can't
add.
Wait.
So we show next Friday. So we definitely wanted to do it today. By the way, we have Hans Grunberg, the famous head of SEO from chef.de, the leading recipe site in Germany. Cool Dino shirt, Izzi. Cheers.
Thank you.
Nice. Really
it
cool.
Is cool.
Bianca's watching on LinkedIn.
Hey, Bianca.
Cheers to you as well, Bianca. Thanks for setting everything up again. You rock.
You do rock.
So, and again, if you're watching, put something in the comments so we know you're there. While we were talking about audience,
we love it.
It's really so important.
yeah, I know. That's where I learned to sort of engage the audience more. Was like doing all these webinars, doing the shows together with you. You know, like I think it really helps to sort of like check in with the audience and ask them questions. It doesn't work all the time with everyone. Some people just want to sort of like do their work and listen to us in the background. That's fine. You're allowed to do that, but we still appreciate your praise whenever. Just saying.
Or it can also be critique, whatever. You can critique us all you want. We can read everything. We already had a sip of beer, so it's all cool. It's all cool, especially after that.
Exactly.
It's all good.
We can handle it.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get started into actually talking about SMX Advanced, I would like to tell two things real quick. And then let me share my screen real quick. I mean, like one thing, we're so proud of that. I mean, like it's not just because of the picture, right? But this is actually from the first fundraising round we did. But we're so proud that actually TechCrunch picked up our new carbon neutral KPI. We're trying to measure the CO2 footprint of websites and want to make the whole internet carbon neutral because it's actually a lot of carbon being produced by the internet, and it can actually be substituted. What's the English word? I don't know.
Subsidized?
No.
Substituted is fine. Yeah.
All right. And when we want to entice website owners to also think about this aspect and make their website carbon free. Why not? You get a really cool badge. And it shows you care about the environment, as we all do. So that's pretty cool. And again, thank you, Mike Butcher. Thank you, TechCrunch, for picking this up. This really, the whole team was really stoked when Andy sent it to me yesterday night. I was like, finally on TechCrunch. Personal win. Never been on TechCrunch, so that's really nice. We got a lot of traction from this as well, which is very nice. So thank you all. This is really cool. And obviously we have something else to talk about if we wouldn't already have like the summer of updates, right? So we have the core update, June core update, July core update, a page experience update in the middle for 3 months kind of things. And then Google said, well, we also had a spam update. And this was not even announcing. This was like really, it's already completed. And I was like, okay, that come out of nowhere, which was again really, really interesting. Although I really love it, Google can't do it right because you had like the people saying like, oh, you say something, but you don't say, what is happening. And then you have the people that complain that they don't announce updates, right? So Google, they can't do it right. I love it. Actually,
they can never do it right.
They said this. But still, it was like very hard to find like examples within the SEO community which were actually been affected by this spam update. And so far, I have I found one domain here, FindClever.de. I can only show it on Systrix, but Systrix picked it up already. And FindClever was actually a big winner in the June update. And actually, the site is shit, right? And it's a spam site, right? So, and everybody was like amazed that especially this site would be one of the big winners within the June core update. And now Google spam update to the rescue. Boom, like an enormous loss here. Obviously just in visibility, so you don't know really how it's affecting the bottom line, but still there's a pretty good indication here, and especially knowing that site is really not that valuable. It makes a lot of sense that this actually happened. So I really love to see something like this happening with Google, like a just core update, and then it's like, oh my God, too much spam in here. Might have missed something, might have appreciated the wrong signal. So let me tune this back with the help of that spam update. Actually, it was Maximilian Wenzel who sent me this result, because we were already wondering in our Clubhouse session if we would find any spam update victim, so to speak. And this is actually the first one I saw in the wild. So thank you, Maximilian, for sending in this example. Have you heard of anyone like being affected by the spam update? Have you seen any other domain being affected by the spam update by any chance?
No, I haven't. I saw the Ray posting about this update. That's how I heard about it. Because I haven't really checked the news that much this week, or Twitter, unfortunately. But I was like, these are the kind of updates that we should welcome, right? I mean, we should welcome core updates in general anyway, right? Because they're rewarding the good content, demoting the bad content, and I don't want to be associated with SEOs who spam. Like, I'm a good SEO, take pride in what I do. So I'm kind of happy when these kind of things are announced, to be honest.
As a former spammer, I can totally relate.
Oh, you had those days. Those are behind you.
Definitely. Ever since Matt Cutts called me out, I think in Rand's blog post in 2008, 2009, I was like, okay, now I'm a white hat. Not gonna do this anymore. By the way, Axel, hey Axel, thanks for watching. Is asking how many questions did you get from that press coverage? Unfortunately, I can't see it yet. Oh, we could test the new SEMrush feature, the live backlinks, the new backlinks thing. Although it got released like in the evening over here, so I wouldn't necessarily expect SEMrush to pick any new backlinks here. But let's look at this, because if you remember back. SEMrush announced they have now the best backlink database. They actually reworked the whole backlink database, the whole process, and it's really become better. At least this is how I feel, at least a little bit. And now they have this awesome feature here. Here, live update, 99 plus backlinks found today. This is the new thing here. It's actually pretty small, but this is really significant, because now you can click on here and we'll actually find this. And this is, again, something which I like about the backlink analysis in SEMrush, although I'm a big link research tool nerd, especially for checking my backlinks. But here, I love this, that I can actually go in and say, show me only one per site, because with all those site-like links, that's always a little bit stupid. And also that I can go to new and stuff like this. But of course, these are all super fresh. Let's see if we see something. Okay, this is very weird. User account. Forum Abacus Marketing, yay. That's still around. Okay, this doesn't seem to be anything regarding.
Some cool mentions, though, like WordPress SEO, the definitive guide.
Yeah, lots of good stuff. Although I wouldn't have really always necessarily these are really new links. For example, I see a link to deonpage.org on these 10 SEO tools page, which could be a little bit older, but nevertheless, I mean, like, that's still
on the future of search.
Yeah, I found myself checking these fresh links every day for the past week. and I actually really got some good value out of it. So I really like this new feature here from
You love backlinks. You love it. You're obsessed with link building.
Not at all, but
with backlinks.
Yeah, I'm an SEO. I don't care about links. So yeah, so much that. Let's talk about SMX Advanced. So obviously,
yes.
You were also in the office on day one. At least we were able to at least watch it together. I mean, like both sitting next to each other, watching, like staring into a computer screen. But it still had a little bit of this conference feel.
And we had like the organizers with us, you know, we had Sandra, we had the moderators, we had Timon, we had Alexander. It was, I think, I'm not going to try and offend anyone, but it was the best hub to be at. We even had beers afterwards.
Yeah, without a doubt. I actually had
without a doubt.
Beer, but yeah, I had to drive. There was a car.
Yeah, it's fine.
But yeah, this is really it was a cool hub, and also having some people over there was pretty nice. Yeah, I mean, like this is what it's all about. Normally a conference, and I really got to say, I'm like from a content side, I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, like not surprised. I always expect like a high level at SMX conferences, especially from Rising Media, without a doubt. But nevertheless, this was really advanced content. This was really, really good content. So I really enjoyed, like, also sitting there in the office, like being like a little bit more attentive than I would be if I would be doing this from home and work on the side, right? I was like really trying to pay attention, even noted down a lot of things to be able to recap this for our Clubhouse session and also here. So, and I was really, really, really happy with the content that was shared. I mean, it started off with, I mean, like obviously one of the great speakers that we have in the SEO community these days with Jono, how to build and maintain a perfect website. Again, in lightning speed, he went through, I mean, like how hard it is to, as not to even have a perfect website, but to get closer to perfection when building a website. And he started off with explaining what it takes to just implement an image, right? Image source. We've all done this before, right? It seems to be so easy, but there's so many different things you got to consider with like this image also being available if you on mobile and on desktop. This might be bigger on desktop, might be smaller on mobile. Next gen formats. Lazy loading, I don't know, like a million things. So basically for 25 minutes, he was talking about all these different things you got to consider when integrating an image. And he was using this, which I loved about SMX Advanced. He was using this image of Bob the cat.
Bob the cat, my favorite guy ever.
And he was condensing the cat, cropping the cat picture.
Wishing and
Tom Anthony gave him some shit for animal cruelty because he was like, you know, like doing all these things with that cat picture and stuff like this. It was like very friendly banter going on there between Jono and Jono and Tom and Jono. He might also be talking to himself. This might happen. I could imagine. He's like so smart and he would be like surprised by his own thoughts. And he's like, oh my God.
He can only talk to himself because that's the only other person smart enough for him to talk to. Right?
That's very good. That's very good. It could actually really be the case. So he was basically like from this simple snippet image source, he gets into the SER sets that you got to integrate and all that kind of stuff, right? And just to show how much thoughts go into just, you know, implementing in a picture. The next case, a little bit shorter, was actually if you want to implement a custom font, right? What you got to consider there and stuff like this, right?
Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. Or if you do it like we are doing it. I mean, like we have this episode, which was an amazing episode with Danny, our tech lead Danny, who was talking about what we do for actually getting to the 100 page speed insight score. And this is also, you know, us going into the font set, actually looking which characters we're not using in our content, so we don't even load these and also save a little bit of bytes. So there's a lot of potential for optimization, even in integrating a font. And there's also a lot of things you can go wrong there. And then he was basically painting this picture. Look at this, right? And we still not have a perfect website, and there's still only 2 components of the perfect website we're trying to build here. And then he came to the point that if you want to build a good website, you actually need just 4 components. Obviously, one being WordPress, and I mean it powers a third of the whole internet, right? So it's very good, but also not just from this is just the best CMS, but also just the sheer amount of open source developers helping within the WordPress ecosystem to make it faster, better, and just like if something new is coming up, integrating this, baking it in to the core itself, so you don't have to worry about these kinds of issues because WordPress will do it automatically for you. The next component being Cloudflare. Obviously, you want to have something to really speed up your site. The third component, I know it was what was the fourth one? What was the third one?
AMP.
Oh yeah, it's so controversial that you think about it, right? And this is also something he basically did a little bit of a plea to all SEOs. I mean, like Google did sort of like a bad marketing in the beginning, marketing it the wrong way. So a lot of SEOs just like, oh no, we're not going to want to use AMP and that kind of stuff. But it is changed. It has definitely gone different. We've talked about this in our shows here as well.
Yeah,
what has changed, and I also like to recommend it for people that need, like that don't have a lot of development resources. You just with AMP, you get out of the box a mobile compatible, fast website, and this is already a huge value out of the box, right? What you get with AMP, also a very active community that is developing this further. So, and the fourth one being Yoast Seo. Obviously, we would also recommend this, especially in the conjunction together with WordPress, and also again, not just from the standpoint that there's also maybe different product that can do the same thing. Although really Yoast Seo can do much more than anybody else in that space, and it's much more diligence. You also basically have a lot of these great developers like Jono and his colleagues. Basically, at your fingertips, optimizing your site, making your site better, by, as the same goes into WordPress or AMP, what you already build will get better by basically them updating the core. And so basically also with AMP, right, you have some of the best page speed performance engineers, working at Google, working at that project. So you have these amazing people, work for you because they make your website better. If you set up with it. So I really like this story that he was telling there, and I think it's really a very, very, very valuable tip for somebody to start out new. Like really WordPress, Cloudflare, AMP, Yoast Seo, and out of the box you will have like a very good optimized site. There's still very much room for improvement, no doubt about that, but you will have a good optimized site, and that's already worth a lot. So
yes,
amazing talk. Really, as I really liked it as always. John is just fantastic, and this was really great. Live from York. He actually cut in his finger in the lunch break. That's what I heard.
He chopped the top of one of his fingers off. He was very excited and chopping stuff and chopped his finger by accident when cooking. Poor Jono. But he's all good now.
Next up was you. Obviously, very cool. Web Vitals investigations. Who's suffering? Who's winning? And what about me? Live from a hub in Munich. Do you want to tell really quick? I already spoiled out how awesome it was, but and we're definitely thinking about also making this available as a webinar.
Yes,
you will actually do this as a webinar for right users, because this is so valuable for a lot of our customers and right users in general. But can you just have a very quick wrap up what you were talking about?
Yeah, sure. So my talk was very practical because I've done some strategic ones recently. So I wanted to get back to what I really, really love, and that's doing some really nerdy case studies. So what we did together with our data science team was some industry studies of how the top e-commerce websites are performing in the UK and in DACH, in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. We found out that they're not performing well in terms of Web Vitals and page performance. So I dug in to see why, and I have 6 very interesting case studies, what I thought. So I was like doing a lot of digging and investigating. These are like the best ones I could locate, and also like giving some really hands-on advice of what to improve for your websites, with a little success story at the end from our side, because as Marcus just mentioned, we've been getting really good performance scores in Lighthouse on PageSpeed Insights. We've cut out a lot of cruft during like a relaunch of our website. So that was something worth showing as well, and also to kind of like celebrate the righties as well.
Absolutely, and this is exactly what I would expect from SMX Advanced, and you did this very well with these case studies, like really hands-on case studies.
Yeah,
like really, this is what we saw, this is what happened, and this is the outcome, and this is like really what people need to see, and also like lose a little bit of the being afraid of like, with PageSpeed Insights, I don't know, this is maybe automatic.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be super complicated, and I think
I was really like unsure with SMX Advanced, because I attended SMX Advanced in 2019. I was there in person in Berlin. I loved it. And there I learned that advanced doesn't just mean technical. You can just be like an expert in a field, in a very specific niche of SEO, and that's what it's more about. It's more about like giving really personalized advice on something that you are really in depth with. So for example, then I gave a talk on local SEO, which is maybe like very like unexciting for a lot of SEOs, but for the people in the audience who cared about local SEO, they were like, this is the best practice kind of stuff. So in this one, I was like, I'm going to finally do a technical talk, but I don't want to just like reel off a lot of like front-end development topics that not everyone will understand. So I wanted to make it nerdy enough for the tech SEOs, but also accessible for everyone as well.
Yeah. With local SEO, I also thought just always about NAP consistency, right?
Yes, that's exactly what I spoke about for 1 hour. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Name, address, and phone numbers. No.
Yeah. But I mean, you got a wealth of knowledge there from your former stint at CEST, which is
that was like, when I gave it. Yeah, exactly. I was at CEST at the time.
Very active in local search, and very successful, if I might add. All right. Oh yeah. So the next thing I would like to talk about is the amazing Tom Anthony. By the way, he just today. Oh, you got to see this. So you definitely got to see this Tom Anthony, because this is even better, isn't it? Tom Anthony. No, it's probably different. This is just me, Tom Anthony SEO. Okay, this is just me being like not very good in Twitter. Here. He presented us. If you remember this, we talked about this, about Apple's search engine plans. This is like one of the best talks I have ever seen. And hands down, the best talk I've seen last year, hands down.
Wow.
Like really, I've never thought about how Apple would do a search engine. And after hearing this is like so spot on. His thoughts are like,
I'm going to register now.
You have to see this. This was one of the best talks I've seen in a long time. And it really like opens up your eyes about like also how, because everybody's like, oh, Apple's building a search engine, so we're thinking about like a Google thing from Apple, but it's totally different. And it also like he really carved out the strength that an Apple search engine might have over Google. I don't want to spill the beans, because this is actually really different talk. I want to talk about this current talk he did at SMX Advanced, but he essentially just posted it. Actually, you retweeted it too. You should definitely look at it. This is
I'm registering.
Talk I've ever seen. This is phenomenal.
Yeah, I was really excited.
It's like phenomenal, right? Can't compare with you, but they're second best. So definitely. So his talk, an introduction to HTTP3 for SEOs. At first, when I actually heard this, I was like, HTTP3? Didn't we just talk about HTTP2? What just happened, right? And this is not even new, because it's based on Quick, Google's Quick. I can't say the acronym. What's the acronym? Quick.
It's QUIC, right?
Yeah. But what it means.
Oh, I have no idea. It's not important, right? It doesn't even tell you in the knowledge panel what it stands for.
Here, Quick UDP Internet Connection. Genau. Und this is basically the basis. So this was like from Google. This is, I think, even 2012. So this is like how far we are like in the innovation space here. So even this is like super new for a lot of SEOs. I mean, like this is basing on something that was developed in 2012, right? So there's no HTTP4 on the horizon, not yet, right? But this was super interesting because I mean, like if you remember, Tom has this amazing piece also about HTTP2 where it explains, you know, with the trucks, and he actually had new trucks, which was also very nice. And he was really going into detail from HTTP basically 1 to HTTP2 and then to HTTP
and HTTPS.
Yeah, what are the differences? Why is it good? Why does it even make some connections slower? Also, and all that kind of stuff. Phenomenal. Again, the Apple search engine thing was even better, but still, again, very great presentation because, like, he explained a topic I didn't think about yet. Explained it very well. That even I could understand it, and especially like with the trucks and everything. It's like it's so good, and he's also funny. He's witty, right? Like
also, very funny.
Jono's chain with like the Bob being like animal cruelty kind of stuff for cropping the picture of the poor little Bob. So awesome talk. And this is also nice. This is what I said. It felt like a private concert because he was there in Munich, right? He was sitting there. In the campus.
He drove up to us and then had a quick beer and drove back. But it was really good to see Tom. Also shared a nice photo of us all together. And it's funny because he mentioned, you know, because the HTTP2 thing was a couple of years ago, and he was the one who demystified it for me a few years ago. And I just did an audit today because now that I'm so into Web Vitals, everyone's coming to me like, can you audit my website? Can you do mine? And Tom said that 90% of the website, around 90%, have moved over to HTTP2, and it was quite a big website, and they're still using HTTP1. So it's like this kind of optimization. It's just like, do it now. Like, what are you waiting for? This is going to speed up so much. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So.
Okay,
and sites are already starting to move over HTTP3 because it's very accessible, especially if you're using a CDN like Cloudflare. It is really quick and easy to set this up.
By the way, did you see this? This is what I don't get about Twitter. So Andy Beard, great SEO as well, he's saying, thanks for providing me proof that shorts like mine are okay to wear in Germany. It has been a constant struggle.
What?
Is he talking about me having like very short shorts, or the cargo shorts with like every dad wears cargo?
I think he just means shorts in general. Okay. We can ask him.
I don't know. Maybe it's like, you know, me being like a little bit flamboyant, wearing like the violet, violet colored shorts.
They're not flamboyant. They're like, I mean, they're cool, but they're not like outrageous, right? Purple is a cool color.
I got a purple. Oh, that's it. I'm sorry. Deep purple. Yeah, got it. Okay, I should step up my shorts game. I get it.
Do you want to be flamboyant?
Attire. Yeah.
Did I upset you?
I love the word, right? The bourgeoisie, the flamboyant attire. Bourgeois. I just like this. This is not me. Don't worry. So that was a great talk. And next up, we had Mike King. I was so looking forward to Mike King's talk. He said he's going to do a video, like a whole movie again. He was actually like tweeting some clips about him, you know, like kind of like a fake mustache and stuff like this. So he's replaying some things for that video. So I was really looking forward to see it. But as it turns out, there's some problems getting this over
with the software,
something. So they did basically an hour Q&A session, which is still nice because it's Mike, right? I mean, like he's so knowledgeable. He has so much like great thoughts. It was really interesting, you know, just really getting to his brain and listen to him. It was about how to beat Google, your biggest competitor, which is Google. As it was very, very interesting. I don't have like specific points, again, because it was like a Q&A session. I was also struggling explaining this in the Clubhouse session just like a day later. But it was so like just, you know, being a part of the knowledge that he shares there was just really, really phenomenal. Really cool.
I agree. And like massive props to the team from SMX for like dealing with this short notice of like putting together a Q&A session when the video wasn't working. I think they handled it really well. And it was a very good session just to sort of listen into and learn a bit from Mike. And what a knowledge he has on all things SEO, like regarding cookies and tracking, regarding mobile only indexing. He's got a lot of great opinions and a lot of great skills to share with us all.
With that, Frank Watson likes the later start, obviously, because he's
he likes it.
Yeah, I mean, like normally he's there at 8 o'clock in the morning. Now he could like sleep in a little bit to watch the show, which is awesome. Hey Frank, it's great to watch
Frank.
By the way, he's watching on Facebook.
Prost to that.
Cheers, Frank.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, and the next day started off just as the first day ended. I mean, like obviously Dan Petrovich, for us it was early in the morning. For him it was already late in the evening. And he did a fantastic talk about SEO experiments here live from Brisbane. So this is actually a talk he already did for a search seeker session. So I was already watching the search seekers. I loved it. And I was also recapping this here at 3 of 2 of a kind. So you might remember that I already recapped this talk. But nevertheless, I still sketched everything down. And
of course,
because it's so insightful with Dan doing these experiments, and he's like he's like a scientist by heart, right? So he does not only do experiments in SEO, he does all sorts of experiments. Like also he does this Akustophorese, so that you actually have a drop of water that he would balance between Schallwellen, infrasound waves, Schallwelle, sound wave, also on sound waves,
yeah.
Akustophorese. Really interesting concept. He has a 3D printer. He actually printed like a little igloo in his garden. It looks a little bit like Hobbiton now in his garden. Also, you really got to follow this guy. He posts some stuff. It's just amazing. Like he tries out all that cool stuff, liquid nitrogen and stuff like this. So he's playing around with lots of different stuff, trying out cool things. And obviously, he's also doing this for SEO, and he's sharing that knowledge. And this is so helpful because he does a lot of experiments where, you're always sitting there and like, oh, I would love to test this out, right? But yeah, you never get around to it, doing this kind of test. And so he does this for you and he shares experience. This is so valuable. So thank you so much, Dan, for sharing these great things. And I just want to go like very quickly because I recapped it like once before in an earlier episode of 302 of a kind, but it's just like really quickly what I was talking about. One was link migrations because his first website actually got banned. So he was like, oh, well, let's start a new domain. It was like the DijonSEO.com, which was like his agency, but he wanted to move to Dijon marketing anyway, because like not being like so construed to SEO, but more like to the larger part of marketing. So he wanted to move to Dijon marketing as well. So he had some very interesting insights about like moving powerful links and also like lifting the penalty of the old domain. He talked about stolen content, and this was really great because you might remember his experiment. He was actually enticing people to steal from his blog, steal content from his blog, go in there, don't get the whole HTML, just really the content, make it your own, as you would just publish it on your blog. For example, Bartosz and the One League crew also participated in there, so they basically pulled an article and made it their own. And then he was looking, where does it rank? And he actually, like in most of the cases, he would still be number one and the stolen content being number two. There was one instance where he was number one, but the stolen content actually had the featured snippet, which is pretty nasty because obviously you could also do a different snippet, right? So it could be a little bit more enticing than his original piece, and which is why he would be ending up on position 2. But they also had this case where he was where the stolen content was actually number 1 and he was number 2, which is also very interesting. Obviously, could have something to do with the authority of the page that is actually stealing the content, which goes a little bit in the 302 hijacking kind of things, which is sort of like a little bit of the same technique going on there. You might remember his experiment. If you don't, read up about it. His great experiment where he actually hijacked Ren's blog, made it happen. And this still works because it's not about.
Yeah.
And what I love the most, that he was able to show link inversions in the wild. So link inversion is actually, again, this is not a bug, it's a feature. So if Google finds content on 2 pages. And actually, John Moo also commented about this just this week or last week, where somebody was asking why would stolen content, show up before someone, and John was like, well, it could be because we are trusting this domain a little bit more, right? This goes into the concept of 302 hijacking, that you have like a better domain publishing that content would actually be considered the content owner from now on. And what now happens is actually Google, without 301s, without canonicals in place, actually going in and would credit those links to that other page and point them to the new page, so to speak. This is what's called a link inversion. And again, it's not a bug, it's a feature. And he was able to show this in GSC, showing basically Google saying there's a link to your site, but it didn't even go to his site. It went to, he built up this DejanDarkening.com, so he wouldn't burn his good domain. So he was like building up this DejanDarkening.com, and so they would show links that actually went to DejanDarkening.com, but they've been credited to him. So he was really showing this link inversion in the wild, which I love, because we've been talking about this concept, right? But it's very hard.
Yeah.
And he was really, here's a screenshot in GC. This is how it looks like. It really happens. It's not a bug. It's a feature. So thanks for this amazing experiment regarding revolving around stolen content. He's talking about hidden content. I mean, like, obviously, if you have something important, don't hide it. That's very easy. Organic versus network links, few quality links. But then he also ventured into running SERP experiments, how you would go into running SERP experiments, something you can do with A/B testing and Write. He was doing this with a Guru and giving some like basic recommendations on what you should do, how you should actually do this kind of stuff. It's actually easy and Write. I just wrote him like data. He reactivated his account and now is playing around.
Nice.
Of course.
Yeah, good job.
It's better, right? Why would you do it this way if you can do it just better? Our data science team is really doing an amazing job with the A/B testing tool. If you haven't tried it out, try it out. It's really worth your time. And so this was also, again, very interesting. And he, again, told this story. And I loved, this is like the best experiments he ever did. Got him banned from Google. I mean, like, obviously, because what he did was, like, when people clicked through to his site and actually clicked back, he wouldn't send them back to Google, but would basically recreate that Google SERP on his servers, which is obviously, you can't do that. He was actually giving the tip, if you want to do it, you can also, lose the Google logo. But still, it's highly questionable doing that kind of behavior, because you really, like, yeah, I mean, like, the user doesn't know. And then he was actually using Lucky Orange, which is sort of like a heat map, like, you can record user session kind of things. And he could basically then see how people interact with this, with the SERP, which is really something we're missing. I mean, like, we get GC data, with us awesome. We can see how many people click through, but we just don't see how people interact with certain SERPs. And even on competitors' pages, because you can also send them to a competitor's page, just mirror that site and look how people are going over a competitor's site. I mean, like, again, highly questionable behavior, not very ethical. He was telling the people in the end what was actually happening that were part of this panel. Obviously, Google banned him for that kind of stuff, well deserved, but that experiment was really, really worth it. And I really loved, and this is really amazing, Dan really like doing this kind of stuff, really edgy stuff, and sharing very open these results, so we don't have to do this, because I don't want to get Write.com banned, so that's for sure. But I'm really like, oh my God, I would really like to try this out. Just imagine, right? Like really like a cool SERP, and like, how are people interacting? Oh my God, they're clicking through the deep crawl. What are they doing on their site? Kind of stuff. Oh, love it. Yeah, but again, Dan did it for us, so we don't have to do it. But still,
I love his lab. Yeah, it's really fascinating to see what he comes up with and how he sees it through. He's a great scientist, a great analytical mind as well to follow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Next up, I'm going a little bit fast, but I actually, in 10 minutes, I really got to run because I got to pick up a medicine in the pharmacy, and it only open until 6:30. This is Germany. Pharmacy is only up.
That's how it is. It's okay.
Yeah, they ordered it for me, and they said it's going to be available at 6. And I need this to survive the weekend. Also just literally,
sure.
Not like condition wise. Don't worry, I'm still around on Monday. Good. So yeah,
Bastian.
Bastian. yeah, what was it? 5 tech SEO hacks you never
No.
know existed. And he
It was
started
different.
out with, I'm sorry, it's different because I just couldn't just do only 5. I got to tell you more stuff. And I loved what Bastian was talking about, because what he was actually doing is like giving a really hands-on ABC introduction into building going to Cloudflare, getting an own worker and letting this worker do stuff like changing like your background color on the edge, changing titles and descriptions on the edge, implementing redirects on the edge. He went through redirects. I like also like setting up like proxies. If you have like a blog on your subdomain and you want to move it to a directory, it was also showing how this would work, like really putting the subdomain versus subdirectory controversy behind, right? You can just try it out like this. 503s you can also serve on the edge, you know, if you have like an outage for some time, like Erwartungsarbeiten. Dynamic serving / cloaking, if you're into it, obviously not recommended, but obviously you can also do this. Site migrations, changing the Roberts TXT on the edge, meta text, which is I think like the most used thing you would do actually on the edge here, and everything else replacing, prepending, appending, just with the help of these workers, even in the free version, by the way, so you don't even have to get like a paid account, and also collecting log files with a very nice shout out to write.com, as he said, his favorite crawler tool. Yes, thank you very much, Bastian. But I loved his talk regardless.
Me too.
Of that shout out, because it was awesome, and it really. Also, I was really excited. I was really about, okay, I gotta do this. I gotta try this myself. And I'm definitely still want to do it. So if this is also something that you want to do, as not use Izzi specifically, but you here, everybody watching, right, Bastian, maybe he will send you the presentation. And there's really like a step-by-step instruction how you can do it. Also, code examples and how you can test these code. There's like a playground for seeing how these workers actually work, how the workers work.
We call this edge SEO or serverless SEO, and I think, you know, like Tom Anthony's tool Search Pilot really sort of brought this to light, but Bastian is giving you some nice snippets of how to do it yourself, not just to like implement things in a permanent way, but just to test it so that you have the ammunition to go and get more resources to like officially hard code it into your website. So I really like this use case, but I'm not one of those people who's like use this technology to or rely on this technology to make changes to your website. Use it as a way of proving the benefit of doing it, or the lack of benefit. You know, if you just need to see for yourself if it has a difference.
Yeah, and so many people have CMS limitations, can't do certain things.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Changing the meta text, and this is a very easy approach to change meta text on the edge. I mean, like obviously, always tell every stakeholder what's happening. I mean, like you really want that kind of stuff, right? Somebody changing a title tag, and you actually changing it on the edge again. You don't want stuff like this happening, obviously. So involve every stakeholder in here. But this is really a great way to test out certain stuff and see how it works. And again, I loved how it was like really step by step. Here's how you register. This is what you do here. This is what you click there. I love this as a really advanced content. I mean, like obviously, if you've done this before, it's not advanced for you, but for a lot of people, they've heard about this concept. They've never done it themselves. This is really like a step-by-step approach to how you can actually do this and try out some stuff. So I'm definitely trying it out. I'm really, I can't wait for the weekend to finally be able to try out some stuff like this. Great presentation. Thank you, Bastian. This was awesome.
Great stuff.
We had Giacomo, the technical director at Verve Search. This is also very good, very technical. I don't want to go into this. The last thing I want to talk about, I mean, like also ask me anything on Core Web Vitals. Amazing performance by Splitty again, together with Markus Tober. Very insightful session. You can never go wrong with listening to Splitty, obviously. But the last thing I want to talk about is the amazing Philipp Kluckner. If you don't know him, he's the best dressed SEO in Germany. And we don't say this lightly. It is the case. If you ever see him, it's like, oh my God, this guy is really good looking, right? And yeah, so he's a very good SEO and also very well dressed. And he's not like just like a very successful SEO, but thinks a lot about the whole ecosystem, and is like very well versed in the whole venture capital and whatever scene, which is like for me, whoa.
Same.
There's a very great podcast. I also don't listen to because I don't listen to podcasts, but it's also very good, and it's just amazing to listen to him because there's so much knowledge coming there. Also, he actually he took 20 minutes longer than expected. Nobody went out. Really, nobody went away. Everybody was staying on, and I could have listened for another hour. I could listen for another 2 hours because it's just so amazing to listen to him basically describing the whole search and advertising ecosystem, and he went into so many points. By the way, what he was saying is like SEO is a skill, not a department, and SEOs are really product managers, and one of their stakeholders is the Googlebot. I think this is also a very interesting perspective to take in this issue. And he was talking about this, I think, a couple of the threats that Google actually faces right now. I mean, like a lot of antitrust issues where he was like suspecting could be, I mean, like they could be totally fine, but it could also be like a death through 1,000 paper cuts here. I mean, like we remember what happened with Microsoft, and they're like being held up in all these antitrust issues and them not being able to focus as much as possible and as much as needed for mobile first and these kind of things, and also their search themselves. So it really took away their focus, and this could also happen to Google because they're also tied up in a lot of these antitrust issues. And another thing, with Google not reporting the number of searches anymore, even suspecting, well, it might be going down a bit even because they're losing, as we know, a lot of traction with transactional searches to Amazon. And we just had the study, I think, last week where people were saying if it's not available on Amazon, they would rather go to Walmart before they even go to Google again. So obviously this is very hard for Google because they have a lot of searches, but it's mostly navigational or informational kind of searches. And these are more harder to monetize than transactional searches. So this could actually be something. And he was even more specific because there's like really this unbundling of search. So he was like painting this picture of Craigslist, being this like all these verticals. So like renting a summer home, buying a car, like finding a job. And now you have all these, you have the Indeed, you have the Airbnb, you have booking.com. So if you search for hotel, you might not go to Google anymore and search Hotel New York. You would go to booking.com directly. You don't search for a holiday rental. You go to Airbnb directly, right? You don't like search for something you want to buy. You go to Amazon directly. And so it's not just Amazon anymore, but a lot of these juicy searches where people actually want to do something, want to book a service, want to book something, and they would go directly to these destinations, and obviously also taking like away like very juicy queries from Google, which were very great to monetize, and so they don't have those anymore. And this was very, very interesting insight. And he was actually thinking about that Google would make more out of local search, and they have this badge now that you can have like for 50 euros a month. So 600 euros a year, you can get this green check mark, which is sort of like a verified local thing. And he said it's sort of like the local tax you have to pay to still be in there. And I mean, like obviously with a green check mark, it's such a presentation bias that people would be like more likely to click something through to something with that green check mark, and probably also Google promoting them a little bit more because they're more trusted. People click more on it, obviously, right? It's a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy here. And so, I mean, like with 10 million businesses in Germany, maybe having to pay 600 euros a month, we're talking about, 6 billion. I mean, like, let's say just 10% do it. We're still talking about 600 million in revenue a year from Google just by selling this badge. And don't just get me started about the US. Obviously, there's much more potential there. So I think this is also a very interesting way. Oh, yeah, this is my alarm clock that I got to pick my medicine. So you're in luck. Don't have to talk. Hear me talking.
No. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I loved it. And another, like the last tip, which I also liked, he also said it's vital today to really report the core web vitals to the C-level. And not just reporting the core web vitals to the C-level, but also including a comparison with the competitors, because this will get you stakeholder buy-in. If they see that your online shop is like the worst, the slowest, with the least user experience, this is it, right?
We could do those studies for you as well. Yeah.
You can do this, right? Obviously, very good, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so I also liked his tip. If people are struggling to get stakeholder buy-in to actually get something, get shit done with core web vitals, this is what they should do. And I think this is a really great tip. So all in all, I loved it. Advanced content.
Me
really
too.
encouraged me to try something out, although I didn't have the time yet. But I really, experiments that Dan shared, like the step-by-step approach that Bastian shared. It was a great conference. Thank you so much, Rising Media. Phenomenal conference. Obviously, can't wait for that to happen in person again, finally. But again, knocked it out of the park. That was a great conference to watch. But I still wanted to ask you, because I was just like talking. What was your highlight? What was your highlight at the SMX Advanced?
I took a lot away from the more technical talks, honestly. But I think for me, and I haven't actually watched Pip's talk yet because I was doing Brexit paperwork at the KVR. But for me, like Jono just really hit it out of the park with his talk. I always learn so much from him, and he really started the day off and the whole event off really, really well with his keynote. So I really appreciated that. And he also did a very nice segue to my talk afterwards, which helped me feel a bit less nervous, because no one wants to follow Jono.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. But it was a really great couple of days, and I'm very excited to also have the slides and the recordings to look through when I can on my vacation next week.
As if you haven't watched Pip, just watch
I will.
That's it as a podcast.
Yeah. He's one of my favorite speakers and favorite SEOs in general, even though he's not really an SEO, but I always learn a lot from him as well.
As I think Googlers won't enjoy listening to it, as is a little bit harsh.
That will be a compliment for Pip.
There is a lot of truth to what he's saying, that's for sure. So yeah, again, you got the recording. So yeah,
definitely
look forward to it because it's really cool. And and everybody else, thanks for listening. Thanks for your interest in what's been happening at SMX Advanced. As Izzi already said, so there's not going to be a next week. I mean, there's going to be a next week, obviously, but no show next week. So we will return on July 9th. That's correct, right?
Yes, we will.
I actually have a guest. If you don't mind. I was actually talking to him today, to Alexander Holl. Alexander Holl is an expert in Google Analytics 4. We actually had him on our Clubhouse session in German already, and it was phenomenal because he was really giving a good introduction to Google Analytics 4, what's different, who should move there and stuff like this, really giving some awesome insight. And we had this article, I think, on Search Engine Land, that there were a lot of people who were frustrated with Google Analytics 4. So I think that's a nice thing for us to actually invite him over here, and let's talk 1 hour about Google Analytics 4, how to use it, who should use it, what are the pros, what are the cons. We're just going to roast him on everything and really trying to ask also your questions. That should be a great show. So I'm going to ask him if he can do Friday 9th. If it's
that'd be amazing. Yeah.
Oh, so I'm
always happy to chat with Xander.
Cool.
Awesome great. Guy. Yeah.
You will hear 14 times super.
Oh, he's so happy. I love that.
Awesome guy. And this is so funny because he used to work for Alta Vista back in the days, and actually he started his job when actually Google started in Germany. So much for that, right? It's like, better than starting in Germany. Oh my god.
Go get your meds, says Frank.
It's all good. It's nothing life threatening, but I'm gonna do this. He just wants to throw me off. It's cool. So thanks everyone for being interested. Now we would like to cordially and temporarily redirect you from work to
the weekend. Woo.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thank you, Izzi, and have a great weekend,
Marcus.
everybody. See you next week. Bye.